And then I'm going to come back to, okay, let me close this, see why it's not published. And go to modules. I got it. Oh, okay. It should be published now. Even though the module was published, the unit wasn't published. Okay, so let's look at that. Let's go back and look at that. Like again, we did the Nearpod lesson yesterday. So, okay. Sila is kind of late. Okay, so refresh your page. It should be published now. I was looking at the unit being published. I'm still getting the hang of all of this, folks. So y'all hang in there with me. All these buttons to push and things to do. It's a lot sometimes. All right, give me 1 second. Your attorney. This is not that. Okay, so I gotta get GoGuardian started. I gotta get the YouTube started, get you started. And I think we're only missing one person. Okay. All right, so everybody should be able to get in now to the ATP lesson. Everybody, I see folks in all other kind of places. All right, now that I've found it, I've opened it. Everybody should be on the ATP lesson. Everybody should be on the ATP lesson. It should be open now. Okay. All right, so let me mark Maxwell absent. And then save. All right, so let's start from there. Okay. Okay. So again, we did the Nearpod activity yesterday. So we'll start at the top of this page. We'll start at the top of this page. So again, we need to make sure that you understand that an ATP is an energy molecule. Okay? And all organisms need energy in order to do all their life functions. So that's breathing and reproducing and growth and repair. All of those activities require energy. Okay? And they do it with this molecule. You need to know that ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. Okay. And this is what happened yesterday. Instead of doing this little box, we did the Nearpod. Okay, but basically, this is a review of what we did yesterday in a different way. All right, Malik is here. Give me 1 second to switch out MRCam Tardy. Save. Okay, back to you. Okay. All right, so energy is the ability to do work. So in other words, respiration, your muscles moving, um, digestion, all of those things are work. Okay, and you need energy in order to do those things. The ATP molecule is adenosine triphosphate. And then what I also want you to look at is this picture that shows the membrane. ATP happens in the mitochondria. The energy factory in your cell is the mitochondria. And all the organelles in eukaryotes have membrane-bound organelles. So just like the cell membrane on the outside, the mitochondria has a membrane that holds all of its contents inside. So the activity that you're seeing here, and this is active transport because that's what you need energy for. Remember, you don't need energy for passive transport. But in order to get these molecules in and out, you need to actively bring them in with those membrane proteins that you see in the picture here. Okay, so this is active transport. That's the other important thing to remember. You need energy for active transport, not passive transport. All right, so then we already talked about we need it for growth and repair, we need it for active transport and for reproduction. So covered that already. All right, what this picture is showing you is what an ATP molecule looks like. It is an adenosine connected to a sugar molecule with 3 phosphate molecules attached to it. So that's where you get the triphosphate from. And what happens during this process is that one of the phosphates breaks off, and then that bond holding it on there is so strong it releases energy. And then that molecule now, because it's missing one, is ADP. So once it becomes ADP, that's not functional, so it has to go pick up another phosphate. So it picks up that phosphate and it becomes ATP again, and then it can go do its job somewhere else and release some more energy where it's needed. So this is a cycle. There's ATP, it breaks off a phosphate, it releases energy, it becomes ADP, it gains a phosphate and becomes functional again. So it keeps on doing that. Okay. Looking at this one. Oh, wait a second. Didn't finish. All right. Did I not have you write this down yesterday? Did you write this down yesterday? Yes, you did? I thought so. All right. And then we looked at all of these yesterday as well, correct? Yes. Okay. It's just you were looking at my screen, it just wasn't published. Well, if it wasn't published, then how did y'all do this? Did you do it? All right, we'll do this one real quick just for the, all right, what is the source of energy from, all right, what would you pick for that? Since this is a review day, the source of all energy is what? Somebody type, thank you, Piper. It's the sun. All right, which product of photosynthesis stores the energy? So product means something that is made during photosynthesis that is going to store the energy. And yes, it is glucose. Because I think I had y'all write this down too. All right, the form of chemical energy is usable in the cell. ATP. All right, remember that is the form of energy. Energy is it? This is a question. Thank you, Kashan says yes. Yes, yes, yes. It is cycle because that's what I was just showing you. It goes from ADP to ATP to ADP to ATP, and it just keeps cycling on back and forth. The ability to do work is defined as what? Energy. ATP is used for energy and it becomes, I just said it, because it's cycled. Which one does it become? Nope. The energy molecule. When you use it, it loses a phosphate molecule and it becomes ADP. And the D stands for diphosphate. So it goes from being triphosphate to diphosphate. All right, the process of taking energy from the sun and converting it to energy is photosynthesis. And when food is broken down, it releases energy. It is called cellular respiration. All right. All right. So you should have all of those down. Okay. Again, like I said, at some point, you're going to see this in a matching vocabulary quiz. Okay. So make sure that you practice those. All right. So again, the purpose of energy is it is required by all living things to do work. And by work, we mean growth and repair, digestion, respiration, all those life functions, reproductions, everything that the body needs to do requires energy. The energy molecule is the ATP, which stands for adenosine triphosphate, and ultimate source of energy is the sun. Okay. In environmental science, you'll talk about the sun is the beginning, it's the producers, and all other things get their energy from that. All right, so this is where we were supposed to be today. All right. Photosynthesis means it takes in light. So light is an important part of photosynthesis.
NASA's Aura satellite is one of several spacecraft that are helping scientists study the Earth's atmosphere. Along with ground instruments, it can analyze the atmosphere and composition. It paints a picture of the nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide that together make up 99% of the air. This computer visualization shows how the Earth's atmosphere changes in 24 hours. During the day, oxygen seems rises all over the planet. Carbon dioxide shown is on oxygen we need is given to us by plants.
All right, I'm going to pause this for a minute. I need each of you to be writing down two things that you get from this video. Don't post it. Just write down two things that you learned from this video, and I'll tell you when to post it. I need to know you're paying attention, but I need everybody to be prepared to share two things. So I'm going to back it up a little bit just in case you weren't paying attention. All right. So this is a satellite picture of the Earth. So don't tell me that.
99% of the air we breathe. This computer visualization shows how the Earth's atmosphere changes over 24 hours. During the day, oxygen, seen here in blue, rises all over the planet. At night, carbon dioxide, shown in orange, is on the rise. And the oxygen we need is given to us by plants.
Before plants, there was no oxygen in the atmosphere. So plants did all the hard work of allowing atmospheric concentration to build up over time, allowing all our life to develop. They made the place habitable for us.
Plants breathe in carbon dioxide and expel oxygen. They produce so much that the vast Amazon rainforest is often called the lungs of the Earth. But the real picture is more complex. The verdant wilderness of plants and animals is one of the oldest, most abundant living systems on Earth. Over 2 million square miles of lush rainforest teem with half the world's living species.
The Amazon is the largest natural preserve of life on the continents.
Don't post it yet because we're not finished, so you can't tell me we're not done. But hold that thought.
So dense is the Amazon jungle that it has a dramatic impact on the air above it. It starts in the trillions of leaves far below. We can use animation to show what this invisible process known as photosynthesis might look like. During the day, the leaf takes up carbon dioxide from the air, seen here. It converts the carbon into sugar for energy and growth, and releases oxygen, seen in blue. Each one of these trees will release hundreds of thousands of oxygen in the course of its life. And as for the Amazon as a whole, a fifth of the world's oxygen is this will breathe. Satellite data and ground measurements revealed that almost all the oxygen the Amazon produces during the day remains there and is reabsorbed into the forest at night.
That's the advantage of the satellites. You can now see that the Amazon basically uses all its own oxygen, uses all its own carbon dioxide. It is, as far as we can tell, almost a closed system in itself, almost.
Okay. All right. Now, if you have two facts, go ahead, and I need everybody to send it now so that we're not copying each other's answers. So put your two facts up now. Everybody put your two facts up now. And I wish I could make this bigger without taking up my whole page. There is no discussion. You are typing this in the chat. So you put your two answers in the chat. Okay, so I have all right. So Malik, so I corrected the statement that you made earlier because I guess you heard it differently. But what he actually said was the lungs of the earth. So the Amazon jungle is nicknamed because this is where the oxygen is. All right. So so let's look at what folks are writing, and everybody, I should see one comment from everybody. One comment from everybody. All right. So Piper said, a fifth of the oxygen produced from the Amazon and the nitrogen and the oxygen and the carbon dioxide make up 90% of the air we breathe. All right, so fun fact is even though the nitrogen is in the air, and I think we talked about that in environmental. remember, the air is a mixture of gases. The only thing that we really need, so while we inhale everything that's in the atmosphere, the only thing that we really can, the body takes out is the oxygen. Everything else, we kind of exhale that back out. And we get our other gases from someplace else. We get our carbon from the foods we eat, and we get the nitrogen also from the foods we eat, but we don't get it from the air that we breathe. All right. So thank you. Let's go back. All right. So that was Piper Malik. The plants gather sunlight and convert it into sugar energy for growth and then expel the oxygen. Okay, that's the process of photosynthesis. The rainforest is, and then somebody else, it's not, it wasn't, I know, you know what happens? I see what happens. If you're looking at the closed caption, sometimes the closed caption doesn't write the words exactly the way he's saying it. And he was British, so they probably translated it law, but it really is lungs. Okay, so fix that in your notes. It's the lungs of the earth. And that's because it has it's producing the oxygen. All right. So I see, because when more than one person repeats it, I have to figure out why. It's because you're probably looking at the closed caption and it said law. It should be lungs. Okay. So everybody who wrote that down, make sure you correct that. Lungs of the earth. Okay. All right. So, okay, and Ariana, you gave me a question and not a statement. I need a statement. What a statement that you learned. All right. Okay, Isabella said carbon dioxide. Plants breathe carbon dioxide and they let out oxygen. And it probably, all right, what was the interesting thing? Let me see if anybody said it yet. Okay, Kashawn is saying, yeah, we're going to take the carbon dioxide in the water and you're going to convert it into sugar, but you release oxygen. Okay, you're releasing oxygen, and that's our equation for photosynthesis. So this was all about photosynthesis. See, the reason we were writing this down and seeing what you were you actually hearing what you were supposed to hear by watching the video. Okay, our Amazon produces the oxygen, but it can convert carbon dioxide into sugar and then gives off the oxygen that we breathe. Now, one of the last things he was saying is while the Amazon produced all that oxygen, what did he say happened to the oxygen that is produced by the trees in the Amazon? Are we getting it? Who is getting the oxygen that the Amazon produces? Most of it. Did anybody pick up on the last? Not the animals. Well, maybe maybe the animals in, and that's he said, because Sean said animals, and so wildlife, same thing. Maybe the animals, but where? Where? The oxygen that the rainforest is producing, who's getting it? Or where is it used on the planet? Mostly. Let me rephrase that. Yeah, I didn't hear that last part. Not the atmosphere, no. Let me see if I can play that again. Okay, I'm going to start it from right here. All right, y'all tell me what you hear.
Satellite data and ground measurements revealed that almost all the oxygen Amazon produces during the day remains there and is reabsorbed for the rest at night.
That's the advantage of the satellites. You can now see the
Okay, so what did they say? The forest. You didn't hear anything. The sound was very low. Okay. Yeah, you got when I do these, because I have this turned up as loud as I can get it. So when you can't hear it, you're gonna have to turn yours up. Okay. Y'all need to read it. When I show the videos like this, you need to turn your volume up. Don't depend on the volume that's coming through the Zoom to be your only volume. Okay. All right. So it's all right. Yes, it is the forest. So this is what we're looking at is the relationship between photosynthesis and respiration. That the again, photosynthesis makes the oxygen, but when all those trees, he started off by saying most of all living things live in the rainforest. You have the biggest variety biodiversity exists in the rainforest. That's plants and animals. And so yes, the animals, some of you said the animals. So yes, they have to breathe, but they're all there in the rainforest. So what they're saying is it's not the oxygen isn't spreading across the planet. Most of what they get is reabsorbed back into the rainforest because when it makes the oxygen, then it has to carry out respiration. So they absorb it back for the process of respiration. All right, the other thing they mentioned during this, what was the time lapse? How much time were they looking at with the videos, with the satellite? Again, they were trying to show carbon released at one point and oxygen released at another. What was it? What was their time? All right, thank you, Landon. That was exactly right. It was 24 hours. So they were looking at a 24-hour period of time, and they were saying mostly during the daytime, the planet. All right, so this was during the daytime. So it said during the day, they can see the release of oxygen because during the day, plants are photosynthesizing. So they are making the sugar and releasing oxygen. Then it showed that during the night, and then that's not changing colors. All right. But then it says during the night, you see more carbon dioxide because actually it says the carbon dioxide is released because carbon dioxide is released during respiration. So you're going to have a rise in carbon dioxide at night and a rise in oxygen in the day. Okay? Got that? All right, so make a note of that. That's important. And we're going to again look at light reactions and dark reactions. We're not going to call it day and night all the time, but we are going to look at the, yesterday we talked about the glycolysis, Krebs cycle, and electron transport, correct? Did we do that yesterday? Yes? Okay. All right, so make sure you had all those notes. So adjust your notes because some of you wrote down things and you didn't write down the important things. All right. So all living things require energy. Some organisms are heterotrophs, meaning they have to get their energy from outside their body. They do not make their own energy. So they are heterotrophs. Autotrophs make their own food and then they get their energy from that. So let's look at this one. What time is it? We got
The importance
5
of
minutes.
chloroplasts. Trees and algae have one or more chloroplasts. The chloroplast is where photosynthesis takes place. Here is a diagram of the chloroplast, you can see where the stroma, granum, and thylakoid are located. The chloroplast has two membranes. The inner membrane folds into many layers. Thylakoids are disc-shaped structures that contain photosynthetic pigments. The neatly folded layers of the thylakoids that resemble stacks of pancakes or coins are called grana. The thylakoids are surrounded by a gel-like material called the stroma. Takes place. Chloroplast is
All right, I'm going to. So you need to remember that photosynthesis happens in the chloroplast. But you also have to be familiar with this picture. Okay, so again, if this is a chloroplast, a big screen structure inside the plant cell, it has a membrane around it, and then inside of it, you have these. And then notice the circle is going around the stack of discs. The stack of discs is called a grana. And each individual disc is a thylakoid. Okay, so you need to make sure you go back and take a look at this diagram. Right, and the space around it is the stroma. So you need to know those words: stroma, thylakoid, and grana inside a chloroplast. All right. And I'm going to stop there because we got like 2 minutes, right? 2 minutes, 1 minute. All right, so we're going to basically just look at visible light and again, this part right here is going to be animation of what's going on inside that chloroplast. And then we'll look at the difference between the light and the dark reaction. So that we will look at on Friday. Okay? All right, if you have no questions for me, we're good.